Good morning, Zoomies. How are you? I hope you're all well. Today we are focusing on this scene in Lucca, Toscana, Italia. Um, and this is this where this building is actually the entrance, I think, from that way. But the funny thing is, when I'm traveling around Lucca, I always come from here or I come from around this corner over here. And I think on this day, it was a bit of a miracle that I happened to turn around and see that. And I love this building. I just think it's just so beautiful with those shadows on it. It's very simple, very elegant. And of course, I love the antique market in Lucca as well. It's not a good spot for plein air painting because this, I suppose you could say roadway, but there's all sorts of things that happen down the other end here, is just full of people. And the market vendors would not like it if I stood right in front of them and painted. And of course, in the middle of the roadway, there are vans and delivery vans and things that travel through here as well. During the course of the day, just not that much because of course it's all dedicated to the market. But yeah, it's not a good place to stand, which is really annoying. It's so beautiful. I think around that corner, I think that this is Chiesa San Giovanni, I think. I'm not sure actually because I feel quite lost about it. And yet I've been there a million times. I feel like I've been there a million times. But this place just kind of escapes me. But anyway, I love the colour of this building. Again, I've got a black and white photograph. And that's really because I've got no colour on my printer at the moment. And I can't get a delivery. So I think that this is quite nifty. I don't like the composition of the photograph. I like the subject, of course, but I don't like the composition. And I think for me that when I do my watercolour demonstration, I'll do it on a quarter sheet portrait. And I will probably do something like, where is that red marker pen that I sometimes have? Ooh, have I hidden it from myself? Excuse me just a moment. Here it is. I think I'll probably crop it down and make it portrait like that. Whoopsie, it's not a good way of showing you. But maybe having some of those, make the roadway a little bit narrower so you've got a little bit of this. I think the trick will be is to make sure that nothing is even. There's no, so I don't have an even proportion of this building to that. And that's interesting because if I was able to do a very accurate perspective drawing on this, see if I can describe it for you. This building here ends at the same ground, I suppose, if you would like, as this one. And then you can see there's a little bit of light coming down here. And there's a little bit of a vicolo, an alleyway down there. So this one ends where that, but this one here at this church, and you can't see it because of the light on it. This one is, there's probably about, I don't know, 60 feet between this one and that one. So, and you can tell that, you can see that by the height of the buildings here. This building is much higher. If it was the same as this one, it'd be coming down to there. So there's a few clues in there that we should follow. It's very difficult from a photograph because if I was there and I decided I was going to paint there, I'd wander around quite a bit. That's why I go back to Lucca every year. Next year anyway. That's why I go back to Lucca. That's why I like to visit the same places because there's so much to learn about these places. There's so much to understand. And you don't get that from a photograph. And so when I'm photographing or wandering around or sketching, I'll stay in a position for half an hour, just looking and getting the feel of. Um, and I think that is a good way. It certainly works for me, yeah. Um, but to do this from a photograph is really difficult, and I get it. Especially this is not a particularly high resolution photograph. So the good thing is that on your iPads or your phone, you can zoom in and you can zoom out. So you can get a little bit of an understanding more of. But I think just launch in. For me, I want these umbrellas and things. And I'm just sort of thinking about composition. How would I do? What would I do? What's my idea? And that's what I struggle with painting from a photograph. In fact, painting from a photograph for me now is not really a very pleasant thing to do. I have to do it because can't go anywhere. So, and I'm not in Italy, so poos. So I've just really got to get with the program. So I guess I'm just going to launch in and have a go and see what happens. And try and sketch this bigger for you, bigger than I normally would for myself. And again, I'll go to a darker pencil. So this is a 6B. And again, I'll mark it into thirds. And I've put my paper square. I've only got one bulldog clip on, so that I can use the line of my board, the straight edge of my board. Oh, darn, you can't see that. If I go over here, you can. There we go. I'm just going to go here for a second, yeah? And I anchor my finger on that board, and then I can do a straight-ish line, yeah? It's very important to make sure that your drawing paper, for this sort of subject in particular, is lined up with the edge of your board. That's why a board is so handy. There's many other reasons as well, but this in particular. The other thing is the same thing on your watercolor paper. Make sure that your watercolor paper on your board is square, parallel to the edge of your board. Your paper is parallel to the edge of your board, and then you can get the benefit of doing the same thing. And then have a fairly long pencil. That's why I use pencil extenders. But look how long this pencil is now. I have to show you this. This cracks me up. This is probably the shortest pencil I've ever had. And it's because I've got pencil extenders now. That's my pencil. I think it's Nancy. You would have a little bit of a giggle at me, yeah? Right, sorry, where am I? Straight lines. So that's why a pencil extender is really handy. Anchor your little finger and bring a straight line down. I'm not terribly worried about those ones, you know. I know I'm going to muff it, so I'm not terribly worried. And I'm just going to eyeball thirds. Now, the thirds are just an indicator for me. They're not gospel. They might be gospel. But at this point, I think that... wait and see. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to give myself... I don't really know, but I'm just going to go like this. And I just want to make sure that this side of the building, what I crop it down to, is different from this side of the building and what I crop it down to. I'm kind of straight-ish. Whoopsie, I just will bring that down further so I can see it. Ooh. Okay, so if I crop that to maybe there, it's just so that my brain is not filled up with all that periphery. I am going to use a lot of that stuff anyway. But I do wish that I had a portrait photograph of this scene. And you can see already it's a much better composition. Yeah, I've got a nice lead in with these two people coming around. Yeah, it's nice. It's a much better composition than that. However, there are some things in here that I think I'm going to want to use. It is the market after all. And of course, your composition will change where your eye travels to in the painting, and what you'll need to create as your focal area. So maybe it's going to be these two people, but my truth about putting people in paintings is I love doing little people. I hate doing big ones. But note to self, note to you is all the heads are about the same height. Yeah? All the feet are different. And this is because I was standing when I took this photograph. So my eye level is the same as their eye level. Yeah? And then you can see as the people get further away, their feet are up higher. This guy's closer. These people are the closest. Let's have a look at it. See if I can do it logically. These people's feet are closer. And then as I move my ruler up, then I get to his feet are closer. Therefore, he is closer. He's not as close as them. But a good relationship for this one is that his feet are pretty much at their knees. And then these people are a little bit further away, but their head's the same height, level, I should say, eye level. They're shorter. This bloke's tall. These blokes are tall. Possibly these are, they're a little bit shorter, except for they've got their heads bowed, so it's a little bit hard to tell. So their feet, they're a little bit closer, these two ladies. That guy's a little bit further away, but his head's, he must be quite a tall man, yeah? And then we've got all the umbrellas, and you'll note that the frilly bit, it's not a frill, I don't know what you call it, the side panel of the umbrellas is all about the same height. Okay, so that's an interesting thing to know. It's interesting for you, and it's important for you to use this in your painting. So for example, if you were to say, okay, for me, these people are too big, I'll put their feet here and do people here. Yeah, for me, that's probably a better size. Yeah, I'm not very good at doing people that big. And I think it's just a skill that I need to practice. And I probably just need a bigger brush. Whack, 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 done. So I think that's something for you to think about. Now, I loaded this photograph up for you yesterday into our network, and it's up to you to do this. Although I'm going to draw this, I want you to do your own drawing. I want you to think about it for yourself. And my goal is for you to become an independent artist. That's what my teaching is all about, an independent artist with your own style. Okay, so that's the learning, or some of the learning from this. I love the shapes of the shadows in this building. Beautiful. This one's pretty much all in shade. Hold on, let's have a think. Yes, so the light's coming from here. Yeah, I'm following the trajectory of that line there. So that's where the sun is coming from there. Yeah, hitting this and coming down here somehow. But it's not hitting the front of this in the same way. It's this coming down here. I think maybe I'm wrong with my trajectory, but you know what? What does it matter? You know, as long as I get those shadows in. What I like about these shadow shapes is in conjunction with the windows, very, very Mediterranean windows here. These are windows that you would see in Venice. Yeah, I like the shape of the shadows. This shape in here is quite interesting. And this dark helps the light of the umbrella to stand out a little bit. I think it's a great scene, local color-wise, for, excuse me, for a secondary palette, which is my favorite. So orangey, goldy yellows, greens and violets. And for me, that tends to work really well. And of course, the colours that I use to achieve that will help me to get this dark value over here, because these are not getting very much light at all. Yeah, not as dark as some of the ones that we've been doing, but maybe it should be. Maybe if we deepened that a little bit and took that dark all the way through here, these people are in shadow as well, that would bring to light this light. Sorry, pardon. That would help to emphasize this light. And maybe this person here, I don't have this on a screen in front of me, so I can't zoom in and check things as much as I'd like to, but you know, them's the breaks. That's the way it is. So and I have painted this scene before, but I've done it on a half sheet, so I'm going to do it smaller today so that you can see it here in the camera, yeah, because I'm going to try and bring my camera as close as I possibly can so that you can see as much of what I'm doing when I come to actually paint this afternoon. Okay, so I'm just going to launch in and just have a crack at it, right, okay, so what am I thinking? Oh, if I had any thoughts, I'd tell you. So I think that I'll bring this down to, that's going to keep falling down. Let's see if I've got something that can solve that problem. Oopsie, there we go. And I think my photograph is fairly straight, yay for me. But it was taken a long time ago. I think this was taken 2015. I can't find it, the original, in my computer. I think I can bring this down a little bit. That's probably better. Okay, and easier for me as well. So I've got my board propped up in this at about the same level that I would use for painting. And the reason that I do that is the same reason architects do it, is because it's more comfortable. I just raise my seat a little bit. I can see more. It's more comfortable. I can have it right in front of me. I'm not trying to sketch and draw up here or even here. Is really uncomfortable. Yeah, hurt your back doing that. So keep things close to you, even when you're painting and putting your watercolor paper on your board. Have it on your painting very close to you. So down here, yeah, you only need about an inch down there, even if that. Okay, so, right, where am I at? So my focal point is really going to be this building. So I think that I'm going to just do some shapes and see how I go. And I want it to look like it's in the distance. I'm just going to map it out and see if it's going to work to start with. I just want some nice shapes around here is my goal to kick off. And just measure that angle. Whoop, hitting the camera with my head. Where do I want that to be? Okay, well, let's have a crack at doing this. Not worrying about the other little building. However, it could be a good thing to add in a little bit more of an interesting shape. So let me do that. Squiggly diggly. Don't want to get too involved. My pencil's a bit blunt, actually. Or shall I be a big girl and... Oh, see, I just keep whacking my head on that camera. Yeah, a little bit of a point. Right, let's get stuck in. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then this one here, maybe I'm going to end up with a narrower gap down here. So the end of that roof, one of these, is almost in line with that roof line. Now, I don't know if I care about that or not. So, I'm going to bring that down here. And then I just want to get a general line. Yeah, I'm not worried about going, making sure that I've got an absolute. I just want to see what I get. And I want to make sure that it's not the same kind of angle as that over there. So that would be the only time that I would get maybe a protractor out to measure an angle, as if I couldn't tell by eyeballing it, if I wasn't sure. Sometimes when you're just a couple of degrees out, it's quite confusing. So I'm going to go like that. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the other things. I just want to get some general shapes in to start with. Okay. All right. And then if I go, I'm going to make sure that I'm not on that halfway mark. And I often find that I am. And sometimes you just can't avoid it, and that's the way that it is, yeah? So I think that I'll bring in this general shape of an umbrella into here. So I can see a lot of the underside of this umbrella here. I've gone too steep. It looks like it should be long. I'm just going to put a value in there so I don't forget. Okay, and then there is another smaller umbrella over here, but I've got to be careful that it doesn't obscure. I want that window in there. And then there's another one, this one here, and it's a little bit above that one. So as much as we've talked about eye level, etc., when things are taller, because none of these umbrellas would be the same height, yeah? They're all different. They're all different distances, all of that kind of thing. So you just really need an understanding of it. Just marking that in, so maybe I need to use that later, maybe not. Okay. And then there's this other umbrella here, which you can see this umbrella is substantially bigger than that one. So this one's further in the distance, I think. Ooh, I'm just going to unfold that just so I can see what's actually going on there. Oh, okay, look. Oh, is that the front of it? Yeah. So another way of doing this to understand the photograph is to print it in black and white and then put it on a window. I wonder if I can show you. I don't think I can. But to put the printed side onto the window where, you know, you need some sun. So a window where there's going to be some sun. And you can see things a lot more clearly. And you can make marks on here to help you understand what the shapes are, because sometimes they're very obscure, they're soft edge, they're in shadows, you can't really see them. So you need to find a way of being accurate within your shapes without being a slave. So, for example, if you've misunderstood a shape and you thought it was a car, but it's actually an umbrella, and you've got half of it looking like an umbrella and the other half of it looking like a car, it's not going to work. So the best thing to do in that kind of situation really is to zoom in and understand your shapes and get an understanding of them, and then go online, go Google Images and key in the shape that you want. If it's a Volkswagen Beetle, key in Volkswagen Beetle and have a look, download some of them, print some of them off, and use them for your guides to get the correct shapes. And then you can start morphing your shapes a little bit. So I've got 1, 2, 3 umbrellas. For the moment, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Now, I don't know if this is a window or a tree. So, and you can tell by the placement of where I've put them that it's not leading down to that umbrella. So I think that I'm going to get rid of this and shift it. So you can see the bottom edge is pointing straight to that little umbrella, and I haven't used that. So I'm going to do it. It just became a little bit small, and I thought, So it's actually almost lining up. I'm going to put it up a little bit. That will do. So I'm actually going to lose part of the beauty of this in here. So, you know, them's the breaks. Because there's a little bit of a roof in here. And it looks white. I think that's a big long white wall that goes all the way along there. And so that's made this area quite a lot smaller. It's also made it almost square. Eek. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I'll just make that into a tree of some description, yeah? Okay. Just doing these windows as singles for now. Might be too big. Wait and see. I have a feeling that this is a little tiny window in here, and it's like a shrine in the corner. So I'm just going to do that for now, because this is all going to be in, there's going to be a shadow pretty much all the way through here. So I'm not going to worry that I haven't got it exact. I'm not an architect. And I'm not painting a photograph, yeah? I'm not recreating a photograph. I'm making a painting. And I want my painting, I need, as an artist, I need my painting to be creative and to be a part of me and a part of what I want. And I don't want to be a slave to realism. Realism does not appeal to me at all. Okay, so this window here, I'm going to put this here. And it's got a balcony. Woohoo. And then there's another window under here, but it's got all the curtains closed. And it's just a window. Oh, so that is quite a bit taller. because it's a balcony with those big doors and shutters. And I should have made that one smaller, I think. That's okay. I can solve that later. I have to solve it now. Because I need part of this window down here. Okay. It's good because I've got my... So I'm just going to put a few darker marks in here. A little bit of value. Shadow coming across here. Almost square again. Ugh. Might have to do something about that, and that's a little bit darker because it's got the pan tiles and whatnot underneath. So it's more of a form shadow where this is a cast shadow. Okay. And I need darker down here. Just in here is a darker value. Might be a little bit high. If that's the case, then I'll just do that. Okay, and then, see, I'm holding my pencil quite loosely right through here. Just trying to get a bit of a line of that light. And where is my flat pencil? There it is. And a little bit of value over here, because this is all in shadow. And a little bit of something underneath here. Maybe that's too big. Okay. All right, so this umbrella is about the same value as the building. Not a very neat way of doing it. And possibly a little bit too dark, but a little bit darker down here. And then these window, beg your pardon, the rooftops. And of course, they're all following perspective. And you could grid those out if you want to. Just be cautious that you don't get square windows. The windows furthest away are the narrowest. The ones closest to us are the biggest. It's a balcony here. And that too would follow the rules of perspective. Just remember that verticals are always vertical. And some of these windows you could use to describe the top of this umbrella. Don't know what that is there. Let me have a quick look over there. Oh, it's a flap from the other umbrella there. And maybe I'm going to need to do that. Let's have a look. Looks all been blowing around in the wind. Okay, something to think about anyway. Let's just have a go down here. So there's underneath here is a doorway. So I think I could use that doorway to explain a little bit. I'm just going to follow the lines of perspective. I'm just taking a line from here and I'm going to put it in there, I think. Might need to be up a little bit higher. The key with these windows is to be remembering that although they're not in the background, they are actually part of your background. They are not the focal point. So you really do need to make sure that they are in the background, more soft edges. Too many hard edges and they just it's not going to work for you. I'm not going to bother gridding that out because I'm way too lazy. Maybe there's a couple of windows under there. You see how narrow my doorway is? Okay, and that umbrella there, can I get that in without? It's quite high. What does it lines up with that window there? And look how flat it is, this umbrella. And it's flat because I can see more of the underside because I'm almost standing next to it. I'm just going to do a little bit of a value under there, and you can see all the goodies holding the umbrella up. And you can see that I've drawn a lot of that umbrella, even though it's going to be cut off here, yeah? But I'm going to use that dark to help explain. And I could even do that little frilly bit here. I think could be quite interesting to add that in there like that. Maybe a little bit more of this over here. See how it goes. So then after that, it's light coming through here. So I'm just going to come around there. Okay. So I'm going to add in some carrot people to start with, yeah? So I notice their heads are about the same level as that umbrella there, which is here for me. But they're quite far. Their feet are high because they're small, they're in the distance, yeah? They're not standing right next to me. And this guy here, he is... I'm going to bring his feet to the same. Okay, but he's much taller. So his shoulders are here and his head's there, yeah? I'm just doing squiggles to mark them out. There's no point in doing any detail. And this person, look how high their feet are. Their feet are about here. So sometimes what I do is I measure them and I work out that's where their feet are. And the heads have got to be here, but they're bent over, so they're going to be about there. It's not very flash, but it's not going to do me any favors, that one, but never mind. Oh, I think that's because that's not the top of my umbrella. Okay, and my brain has gotten a bit, oops, you know what I mean? There's a little army down there, and they're looking at the stuff on the table down there. Okay, so I like this lady standing here with the hat on, and she's looking at a map she's lost, yeah? And I have actually used her in a painting before, and I had a little bit of a series a while back called Lost in Luca, and she was the main person. So I think I'm going to put her in. So her feet come down to about there, but she's too big. I don't like painting people that big, so I'm going to bring her here, and her head is here. Not terribly worried about the shape of the hat just for the moment. But I want to draw your attention to the shape of that mat that she's holding. Oh, she's got food as well. Woohoo! And simplifying the shapes of the hands. But this is too small for her. I'm just getting a bit carried away. And she's got her friend there who's supporting her as well. So she's full in shadow. So she's just going to get a bit of a squiggle. Yeah? Don't want to get too carried away. I've got to tell myself that all the time because I get very involved in the drawing. And I don't want to. Not at this stage anyway, because I'm really just mapping out. So I think I'm going to go a bit darker over here. And so there is a table right here, and that's about from her, it's about her hip height, yeah? So I'm going to come across here. Following that same line of perspective, and the tables will be short. Ooh, shorter than I've done, yeah? And then they'll have all sorts of crap and stuff loafing around. No need to describe everything. Oh, and there's a couple of people under there as well. Having a bit of a gas bag. Guido and Marco talking together. And then there's another table. So how I know how the size of the tables are is that I'm still following those lines of perspective, and the tables, as they get further and further away, are getting smaller and smaller. They're still following the lines of perspective. They're getting shorter and shorter, so I can see less of the tabletop. And I'm just going to do a massive squiggles and some people. This woman annoys me. And again, she's her feet are about the same line as that. She's about the same height. Maybe. That'll do. And there's more stuff here. On this side, it's the same thing. So I probably need to have somebody here as well. Her mate looking over her shoulder. It's probably another bloke who's a bit bored with hanging around. He's in the shadow a little bit more. There's another table. Maybe there's some chairs. And I could just fill it up with all sorts of stuff. So he's beside a little table there. And there's these... Let's see if I can unfold that without ripping it. No, I can't. And there's all sorts of stuff. I think I've actually put that dish because it reminded me, it's much older, but it reminded me of a Clarice Cliff little bowl that I've got that was my great-grandmother's, that I have actually put in paintings as well. So there's all sorts of detritus and stuff and, you know, bags and all boxes and all sorts of weird stuff. And really, it's just dots and dashes, yeah? Oh, I like how this woman is standing. Interesting. Now, she's in light. Look at that, how much light is on her. They are in shadow. She's in light. Could be quite important. And I might just use my putty eraser. So that's why I didn't want to cut it off, because I thought there's going to be something in here that we'll need. just get that a little bit. Oh, sorry, I was doing that out of camera shot. Sorry. Just lighten her up a little bit. Whoopsie. But I'm going to darken around her with some odds and bods and things. Something dark over there. I don't know what it is. Give her a little bit of a value. Something to... Don't know where her legs are. Can't see them. There's these lovely dog statues here, which are totally cool. But whether you want to add them in or not is another thing. Okay, so what else have we got? Little people over here further in the distance and their feet are up higher. So it's quite a good photograph from that perspective of seeing. And then what I can do is just, I think, add maybe a little bit more dark to that flap under there. And this building here, with all the blocks and the lines of the block work on the church, I think the danger is it would be quite eye-catching, and for me, I think I'm going to avoid that. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a light value wash over here and over there, a little bit of a darker roof, a little bit of a shadow come down here. Oh, there's pillars and whatnot coming down here as well. Okay, and a drain pipe. Even churches have drain pipes. Oh! And those little holes they use for, whoops, mine are too big, to put the support beams through. And also actually on the other side there's a street lamp here, look at that. So I might just make some room for that. But I put that balcony, but I think I'm going to ignore that balcony, and I'm going to put the street lamp in instead. So I'm just going to go back to a lighter value so I can draw it in. And I've lost the point on my pencil. They're no different from anything else. They have a geometric structure. And inside I can see the underside of that dark top. Okay. Oh, another drain pipe here. Right, and there's all sorts of stuff everywhere. For me, as I said, the main focus would be this building, and I love it that it's that lovely orangey goldy colour. And that roof has got a value over it as well. So is this roof darker than that? I think it is. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a wash. Not going to bother with the detail in this window here. I love it and I'll put it in the painting, but not in this. No, I lost my point. It's impossible. Ooh, what a mess. Oh, getting worse by the day. By the minute. This one's not much better, but Okay, got my tree there, more trees in there. That's just light coming through. But leave that, I think. It's important to leave that. That could be a good thing to have that umbrella overlapping the edge of that building. It's not doing that here, but maybe I need it to. Okay. So important to have a sketch of these ladies, for example, who are, you know, they've been shopping and they've got, you know, this lady's got a lovely shopping bag. Oh, it's a little dog. Oh dear. How funny. And one of the things that we're going to do in tonight's class is we're going to focus on doing these accessories, how to paint these street lamps without them taking over the painting, how to paint these accessories, what we do with these dots and dashes. Maybe we'll throw in a few dogs. How do we do the drain pipes? And I'll show you how I do them, and you'll come up with your own ways of doing things. The important thing to remember is rules of design. So soft edges, value contrast, texture, colour, and perspective, I think, are the keys to all of these things. And I think once you've mastered all of those things, then things will start to become a little bit easier for you. And you can bring in all sorts of things into here because they are not unlikely. Okay, all right, that's the end of this. So we will talk again this afternoon, and then and we will paint. And then tonight we will focus on some of the these elements in the scene itself. Right, talk to you soon. Bye.